Hello everybody, and welcome back to Cam Critiques. Nintendo aired another Nintendo Direct just a couple of weeks ago, and it got me reminiscing about the Directs we've seen since the Nintendo Switch launched. They've definitely gained more popularity and uniformity than they had during the Wii U era, though they still vary wildly in quality. So, today, I'm going to be ranking every general Nintendo Direct since the Nintendo Switch's release. I won't be ranking game-specific Directs, Direct Minis, or non-Direct presentations like E3 2017, so I can keep some consistency and so I can compare totally fairly. But other than that, all 11 main Directs that have aired since Switch came out will be ranked here. So, let's get started by talking about Direct number 11. Number 11, September 4th, 2019. Going into this Direct, there are some games to look forward to releasing in the next few months, but not much beyond that. So I wanted some stuff to look forward to for the next year. Sadly, as we now know, Nintendo didn't have much in 2020. Usually Directs have a big reveal at the beginning and end, with maybe another one or two thrown somewhere in the middle or in a block with others as a bookend. This Direct's opener was an Overwatch port. Easily the worst opener I've ever seen. And the closer was Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, a remaster of a Wii game. The only reveals that I found to be particularly interesting were Terry Bogard in Smash, which was kind of leaked ahead of time, Toby Fox composing the soundtrack for Little Town Hero, a game which ended up being bad, and Deadly Premonition 2, which also ended up being bad. I entered this Direct excited to see what games would be playing in 2020. I left this Direct extremely concerned for 2020 and with pretty much nothing big to excite me at all. This Direct was really lacking in just about every way. Now, on to number 10. Number 10, April 12th, 2017. This Direct was incredibly light on reveals. The only Switch reveal that was here that wasn't a port was Flip Wars, a bad eShop game, and the 3DS section wasn't much better. They didn't show much on highly anticipated announced titles here either. No Super Mario Odyssey and no Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was really disappointing. The only first party stuff that was here was ARMS, which was bad, Splatoon 2, which only had a side mode revealed, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a port. In terms of content alone, this Direct is definitely worse than September's Direct that I just talked about. There's one huge difference though. Nintendo had lots of big games coming the next year when this Direct aired. I entered this Direct excited for Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade 2 later that year. I left this Direct still excited for those huge releases. It's hard to be too disappointed when I actually have games to play. Now, on to number 9. Number 9, E3 2018. This Direct actually had some pretty exciting content. Fire Emblem Three Houses looked interesting and ended up being great, Super Mario Party ended up being pretty terrible but the trailer here made it look promising, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was super exciting. However, I went into this Direct wanting new games. 2018 had been pretty light on content through June, and there wasn't much announced for the latter half of the year. Just Pokemon Let's Go, Yoshi, Fire Emblem, and Smash. By the end of this Direct, there were actually less games slated for the back half of 2018 than before it. Fire Emblem and Yoshi got delayed, and only Super Mario Party took their place. Yoshi wasn't even shown at all. We also didn't learn about any more titles coming in 2019 aside from those that were delayed. I went into this Direct hoping to see what Nintendo would have for me to play in the coming 6 to 9 months. I left this Direct knowing it was basically nothing but Smash, and even with some exciting reveals and an excellent looking Smash Bros, that's pretty disappointing. Now, on to number 8. Number 8, September 13th, 2017. This was another Direct that just didn't have any big reveals. I am not exaggerating. Nothing new from Nintendo was announced here. However, that wasn't too big of a deal. In the 3 months that followed, they released Super Mario Odyssey, Fire Emblem Warriors, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, all of which got exciting new showcases. Some of the sections here did go on for too long. I enjoy Xenoblade, but that section really could have taken up half the time it did. Still, at the end of the day, I left this Direct having learned some exciting news about games and having lots of big games to look forward to for the near future. This Direct also had some pretty big third-party announcements, like Doom 2016 getting ported, which was a huge deal in the Switch's launch year. I was a little concerned about 2018, which ended up being justified, and there wasn't anything too exciting here, but I left this Direct feeling pretty content nonetheless. Number 7, February 17th, 2021. This Direct was a strange one. In terms of first-party announcements, this Direct technically had lots of game reveals, but they weren't really what anybody wanted. When I see reveals like DC Superhero Girls and an overpriced Miitopia remaster, I'm not excited at all. And when I see reveals like Mario Golf and Skyward Sword HD, I feel more worry than excitement, given Nintendo's recent history with re-releases in Mario sports games. Pyra and Mythra in Smash was the big opener, and that was also just pretty boring. Not a terrible choice, but they could have chosen anyone from any franchise, and I don't get why they added just another Xenoblade character. Project Triangle Strategy and Splatoon 3 were great big reveals, but they were both given 2022 release dates. This was the first Direct of 2021, with practically no big games dated from Nintendo, after a year with very few releases and literally zero Directs, and yet their only big announcements were for games more than a year away. That was the main problem here. This Direct followed a 15-month gap of nothing, and it was just okay. There were some nice reveals, and I really appreciated Famicom Detective Club remakes getting localized, but my expectations were fairly high. If a Direct like this aired in, say, April 2017, when we had big games recently released and big games announced to fill out the rest of the year, I'd definitely rate it a lot higher. But, considering its timing, this Direct was pretty weak. It was the best Direct we'd had in nearly 2 years, and Splatoon 3 had a pretty exciting trailer, so it wasn't all bad, but calling it the best Direct in nearly 2 years really isn't saying much. Now, on to number 6. Number 6. September 13th, 2018. On paper, this Direct looks pretty great. A new Luigi's Mansion, and a new Animal Crossing for next year, plus the Switch finally getting some retro content that very month, and the reveal of another Smash character. That set of announcements should be hard to beat. Sadly, they all had a catch. Luigi's Mansion 3 was not ready to be shown. It looked super rough graphically, and it didn't even have a title yet. The final game is probably the best looking game on the Switch, yet this trailer really did not give me that impression. The new Smash character was Isabelle, a semi-clone of Villager. They announced more exciting echoes like Richter, Daisy, and Dark Samus as random asides in larger presentations, yet Isabelle was given a full CG trailer for no real reason. If you know what Villager plays like, you basically know what Isabelle plays like. This reveal just really didn't excite me at all. The retro Nintendo content was part of Nintendo Switch's paid online plan, which is pretty atrocious. At the time, you only got a few NES titles and online services comparable to those that were free on every other Nintendo console since the Wii, for a new fee of $20 a year. Nintendo was basically charging for nothing but some poorly emulated NES games with tons of input lag, and you had to pay if you wanted even the most basic online features. And the Animal Crossing reveal was just nothing. No title, no screenshots, no concept art, not even a new logo. Just a statement that an Animal Crossing game was releasing next year, a date it didn't even end up hitting. This Direct had some nice small stuff like Game Freak's Town and lots of Final Fantasy ports, and I still left feeling like I'd have games to play in 2019. I just didn't know pretty much anything about them that excited me. Now, on to number 5. Number 5. September 23rd, 2021. This is the most recent Direct, and it was something of a mixed bag. Some of the reveals here really blew me away, while some others left me feeling really disappointed. The first party content here was honestly pretty weak. The Metroid Dread trailer wasn't particularly interesting, nor was the Mario Party Superstars trailer, and they didn't even show Advance Wars. There was no Smash character and only a tease of an Animal Crossing update. They didn't show any more Breath of the Wild 2 or give a release window for Splatoon 3, though at least that game did get a pretty good trailer. We left only knowing about a couple first party releases for the first half of next year. There were 4 particularly noteworthy reveals though, some good, some bad. Worst of all was definitely the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. This service is already ridiculous. You pay for very little in terms of online functionality, and they finally added some more games from later consoles that maybe could have made it worth the price. But of course now they have to charge extra. They're also selling a Sega Genesis controller for $50, and it looks like they'll be giving out games at just as slow a rate as the NES and SNES titles. Paper Mario isn't even in the launch N64 lineup. This section only left me feeling a little upset. I have extremely mixed feelings on the cast of the Mario movie. On one hand, This essentially confirms that it will be a soulless cash grab, and we didn't even see a single screenshot, and it's more than a year away. But on the other hand, Keegan-Michael Key is Toad, Charlie Day is Luigi, Jack Black is Bowser, Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. This is easily the funniest segment I've seen in a Direct. I don't think I could have come up with a more ridiculous cast myself if I tried. I have mostly positive feelings about Bayonetta 3. I don't like the changed voice actress, I don't like the new monster style, and I think it kind of looks worse than Bayonetta 2. But it still looks like a ton of fun, and it runs at 60 FPS, which is great to see. I've been disappointed with the vast majority of Platinum's output since Bayonetta 2, so I'm struggling to get excited for another game of theirs at all. But if this was the trailer we got in 2017, I know I'd be super hyped. And the last big reveal here I want to talk about is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This was an incredible trailer for a really exciting game. After 30 years, Kirby is finally in 3D, and it looks great. The world is unique and exciting, the movement looks like it'll lend itself well to exploration, and the art style is gorgeous. I wasn't sure if we'd ever get a 3D Kirby, or if we'd ever even see a Kirby that was ambitious in any way ever again. But we got both in one game, and it's out early next year. I couldn't be more excited. The third-party content here was also pretty good. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak was probably revealed too early and with too few details, but I'll definitely be playing it. And the Castlevania Advance Collection is a pretty great deal. Chocobo GP was also announced, which honestly might have been my favorite thing from the whole Direct. This Direct could have been better. I'm still upset by the Switch Online expansion pack, and I'm worried about the apparent lack of content for early next year. But it had some great reveals, and I left knowing I'll have lots of good games to play in the next 6 months. Now, on to number 4. Number 4. March 8th, 2018. This Direct was heavily carried by one announcement. It ended with the reveal that a new Smash Bros. Was releasing later that year. That's hard to beat. There was some other good stuff here as well though. WarioWare Gold was pretty interesting, though it was a little sad to see it on 3DS and not Switch. And the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion looked really intriguing. The third-party stuff was pretty good too. I was happy to see an Undertale port and more on Travis Strikes Again. I really don't have too much to say about this one. There wasn't a ton revealed here, but nothing upset me. And I left knowing that I'd be playing a brand new Smash Bros. Game soon. That was almost enough to make me forget about the small amount of releases in the first half of the year. Now, let's go on to number 3. Number 3. E3 2019. This is where Directs start getting really good. I was a little disappointed with the lack of new games announced here, especially for 2020, which is why I'm not ranking it higher. But this Direct had tons of great first-party and third-party content. As far as first-party content goes, the trailers for Luigi's Mansion 3, Link's Awakening, Astral Chain, and Fire Emblem Three Houses were all excellent. My excitement for both Luigi's Mansion 3 and Fire Emblem shot up a lot following this show. They also revealed 2 Smash characters here, Hero and Banjo, which are 2 of the best reveals we've ever had in my opinion. They came with lots of neat content and some unique ideas, especially with Hero. And seeing a Microsoft character in Smash is still pretty crazy. They even revealed Breath of the Wild 2 here. Now, I didn't love this reveal as much as everybody else. I was a little disappointed that they would be reusing the map, sad we didn't see any gameplay, and worried about not seeing even a release window. But a new Zelda is still a new Zelda, and the vibe of this trailer is really interesting. It kind of sucks that I can't really say much more about what the game is 2.5 years later, but I didn't know that would be the case during the Direct. The only first party thing that I thought was kind of disappointing was Animal Crossing. I didn't love the new stuff they had to show, I was sad about the delay, and I wasn't really feeling the art style. But I was still pretty excited for the game, and the other first party stuff here was just so plentiful and so good. The third party content wasn't quite as good, but it was still pretty great. Panzer Dragoon Remake and No More Heroes 3 were both really exciting reveals. Stuff like John Romero's forgettable Empire of Sin and Dark Crystal Tactics dragged on a little long, but it was not too hard to put up with. I left this Direct having many things to be excited for in the near and far future, including some stuff that I never expected. But there are still some better Directs. So, let's go on to number 2. Number 2. February 13th, 2019. This Direct is what I want most Directs to be when I go into them. When this Direct aired, 2019's major releases were pretty much entirely unknown. I went in hoping, but honestly not expecting, to see some big stuff releasing soon, and this direct actually delivered. Super Mario Maker 2, Astral Chain, and the Link's Awakening remake were all announced and released within 7 months. You're lucky to get one reveal on that level in most directs, and it's usually a year or more away. New information was also shown on Yoshi's Crafted World, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Fire Emblem Three Houses, all also releasing within those next 7 months, with Yoshi as early as the very next month. They also had some great reveals that weren't giant first-party things. Rune Factory 5 and the new Box Boy were really personally exciting to me. This direct had multiple reveals with a lot of variety and outline stuff to be excited for throughout most of the rest of the year. In retrospect, I'd say Mario Maker 2, Astral Chain, and Link's Awakening all disappointed me in some respects, but at the time I was very satisfied with this presentation. Now, on to number 1. Number 1. E3 2021. This direct had some of the craziest, most unexpected reveals Nintendo's done in recent memory, all for games coming out soon. It also followed a stretch of literal years of very limited new releases and exciting reveals. I doubt that Nintendo will put out another presentation this exciting anytime soon. This direct had 5 major first-party reveals. First up was Kazuya coming to Smash. Tekken is a big franchise, so I couldn't be mad about this pick, but I would have preferred Lloyd if I were to choose any Namco character. Still, Kazuya was definitely more exciting than Pyra and Mythra, whose reveal was one of 2 big first-party announcements from the last direct. Then they showed Mario Party Superstars, a best-of compilation of Mario Party minigames and boards from throughout the years with full online support. There's not really any stiff competition, but this will almost definitely be the best Mario Party we've gotten in a really long time. After that was WarioWare Get It Together, which I just put out a review for if you're interested. I've always been a big fan of WarioWare, and I had started to lose hope that we'd ever see a traditional microgame-focused release again, so I was super excited to see this announcement. Then they revealed Metroid Dread. This is one of the most exciting game reveals I've ever seen. Not only was 2D Metroid back, not only was Metroid finally getting a release in HD, not only was the Metroid series finally moving forward story-wise after nearly 20 years, the game that got revealed was the long-rumored Metroid Dread, thought to be dead for well over a decade. It looked great, it was unexpected, it was exciting, and it was set to release in just a few months. Last up was Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Advance Wars was a series I frankly never expected to come back. This was the 3rd game announced here that's from a series I'm a fan of that I feared was dead, and all 3 are set to release within 6 months of the showcase, along with some other promising looking titles like Mario Golf, which disappointed but oh well, and Mario Party. This direct also had the first gameplay trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, which looks excellent. And on the third-party front, the Monkey Ball remake was also announced here, which I was very excited for. This direct just had so much huge first-party content, all set to release pretty soon. It set up the 6 months that followed to be the most exciting time for Nintendo content since at least 2017, and it also had some stuff to be excited for in 2022. This direct wasn't perfect. I would have preferred to focus on more single-player and/or original content, but it was really great. So that does it for my ranking. Do you agree? Let me know in the comment section below. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, commented, hit the notification bell, and/or subscribe. I'd also recommend you check out some of my other content like my ranking of the 2D Metroid games. Thank you all for watching, have a great rest of your day.